Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you work, the horizon of freedom never seems to get any closer? You wake up before the sun, you pour your sweat and energy into the day, and you collapse at night, only to do it all over again. We are taught from a very young age a specific equation, that hard work equals wealth. We are told that if we just suffer enough, if we just push our bodies enough, abundance will follow. But look around you. Is the hardest worker always the most abundant? Or is there a different force at play, a silent, invisible architecture that dictates the flow of prosperity? Today, we are going to embark on a journey to dismantle a painful myth. We will discover that money is not made by the sweat of the brow, but by the clarity of the mind. We will explore how true wealth is not a result of exhaustion, but a product of alignment, strategy, and heart. Through the story of a farmer named Arun, and the timeless wisdom of Buddhist philosophy, we will unlock the door to right livelihood, where your work becomes a source of joy, not a cage of fatigue. If you are ready to stop running and start flowing, take a deep breath. Let go of the tension in your shoulders. You have arrived at the right place. Part 1: The Story of Arun, the man who fought the earth. In a small, dusty village where the wind often carried the scent of dry earth and cedar, lived a farmer named Arun. Arun was a man of immense physical strength. He was known throughout the valley as the Iron Bull. His shoulders were broad, his hands were calloused and rough like the bark of an ancient banyan tree, and his determination was unbreakable. Arun was a good man. He was a man of honor. He believed deeply in the sanctity of Mehnat, the Hindi word for hard work, labor, and toil. He believed that his duty to his family was to give every ounce of his physical energy to the land. Every morning, long before the sun painted the sky in shades of violet and orange, Arun was awake. While the rest of the village slept, wrapped in their warm blankets, Arun was already in the fields. He did not use a plow pulled by an ox, for he could not afford one. Instead, he pulled the plow himself. He dug irrigation ditches with a heavy shovel, striking the rocky ground hour after hour, the sound of metal on stone echoing through the silence of the morning. He carried heavy sacks of grain on his back, walking miles to the market, refusing to pay for a cart. He denied himself rest. He denied himself moments of stillness. When his wife asked him to sit and watch the sunset, he would shake his head and say, "No, there is work to be done. Rest is for the wealthy. I must work so that one day we can be free." Arun believed that every drop of sweat was a coin deposited into his future. He thought he was paying the price for success. But years passed. The seasons turned, winter gave way to spring, and the monsoon rains gave way to the harvest. Yet Arun's life did not change. In fact, it seemed to get harder. His back, once straight and proud, began to curve under the weight of the years. His joints ached with a dull, constant throb. And despite his heroic efforts, his roof still leaked when the rains came. His children still wore clothes that were patched and repatched. The abundance he chased was always just out of reach, like a mirage shimmering in the heat of the desert. One particularly hot summer evening, Arun collapsed by the side of the river that ran near his field. He was exhausted. His body felt heavy, as if it were made of lead. He looked down at his hands, swollen, bleeding, stained with the soil. A wave of bitterness washed over him. Tears of frustration mixed with the sweat on his face. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "I have given everything. I have given my body. I have given my time. I have given my blood. Why does the river of wealth flow around me, but never to me? What more does this life want from me? It was in this moment of utter defeat that he heard a soft sound. It was the sound of a wooden flute, playing a melody so gentle it seemed to be woven from the wind itself. Arun turned his head and saw a monk sitting under the shade of a large tree a few yards away. The monk was elderly, with a face that looked like a crumpled map of kindness. His name was Bodhi. Bodhi was a Zen master who had wandered down from the high monasteries to live among the people. He was known not for his words, but for his presence. When he sat, the world seemed to quiet down around him. Bodhi lowered his flute and looked at Arun. He did not look with pity, he looked with deep, piercing clarity. The river does not flow to the rock that blocks its path, my friend, the monk said, his voice as calm as a deep lake. It flows where there is space. Arun, startled and defensive, sat up. I do not block the path, master. I dig the path. I dig until my hands bleed. I am the hardest worker in this valley. Why am I not rewarded? Master Bodhi smiled. It was a smile that didn't just move his lips but lit up his eyes. He stood up and walked slowly over to Arun, sitting down beside him on the riverbank. You dig with your hands, Arun, the master said softly. But your mind is asleep. You are like a man trying to break down a stone wall with his forehead. You are using force where you need flow. You are using the body where you need the spirit. Arun frowned. I do not understand. My father taught me that hard work is the only way. Hard work is noble, Bodhi replied. But hard work without vision is just a slow way to die. Tell me, Arun, if you carry 10 sacks of grain to the market on your back, how much do you earn? 10 copper coins, Arun replied instantly. And if you wish to earn 20 coins? I would have to carry 20 sacks, Arun said. But I cannot. My back would break. It takes me all day to carry 10. There is no time left in the day. Exactly, Bodhi whispered. You have reached the limit of the body. The body is finite. It has only 2 hands. It has only 24 hours. It can only be in one place at one time. When you trade your body for money, you are trading a limited resource. You will always hit a ceiling. The master paused, picking up a small pebble and tossing it into the river. They watched the ripples expand, touching both banks. But the mind. Bodhi tapped his own temple gently. The mind is like the sky. It has no limit. The mind can travel where the body cannot. The mind can solve problems that muscles cannot move. Why do you try to conquer the infinite sky with 2 tired hands? Arun sat in silence. The word struck him like a thunderbolt. He had been so proud of his suffering. He had worn his exhaustion like a badge of honor. But the master was telling him that his suffering was not a badge, it was a cage. What must I do? Arun asked, his voice trembling. I am just a farmer. I know only the soil. Stop digging, the master said. Just for a few days. Stop digging the earth, and start digging into your mind. Observe. Watch. See what the village needs. See where the flow is blocked. Use your Dimag, your intellect, not just your Mehnat. Wealth is a result of value, not effort. Create value, and the effort will transform. The transformation, from hands to head. That night, Arun did not sleep. But for the first time in years, he did not toss and turn with anxiety about the next day's labor. He lay still, staring at the thatched roof of his hut, letting the monk's words settle like seeds in fertile soil. The mind is the sky. The next morning, the sun rose, but Arun did not rush to the field with his shovel. His neighbors saw him walking towards the village square, empty-handed. They whispered among themselves, "Has the iron bull finally broken? Is he lazy now?" Arun ignored the whispers. He walked to the market. He sat on a bench and he simply watched. He practiced the art of observation. He watched the merchants arguing. He watched the customers complaining. He noticed something important. He saw that the city merchants who came to buy produce were desperate for a specific type of medicinal herb, a golden turmeric root that grew wild in the foothills. However, the farmers rarely picked it because it spoiled very quickly. By the time they carried it to the city, it was often rotten. So, the farmers stuck to wheat and rice, which were heavy, cheap, and hard to sell for a good profit. Arun saw the problem. But for the first time, he looked at it with his mind, not his back. How can this problem be solved? He asked himself. He remembered his grandmother. He remembered that she used to dry herbs on special bamboo racks raised high off the ground, covered with a thin silk cloth to protect them from the harsh sun while letting the wind dry them out. This method preserved the herbs for months and made them lighter to carry. A spark lit up in Arun's consciousness. This was the strategy. He returned to his farm. He did not plant wheat that season. Instead, he spent his time building bamboo drying racks. He went to the other farmers, men who were as tired as he used to be, and he made them an offer. "You gather the turmeric from the hills," Arun told them. "I will dry it using my method, and I will handle the trade with the city merchants. We will share the profits." The other farmers were skeptical, but they agreed. Arun stopped being a mule. He became a bridge. He used his mind to create a system. He organized the collection. He perfected the drying process. When the city merchants returned, they were astonished. Here was high-quality, preserved turmeric that they could sell for 10 times the price in the capital. They paid Arun handsomely. In one season, Arun earned more than he had in 10 years of breaking his back. But he didn't stop there. He used the money to buy a cart and an ox. He hired young men from the village to transport the goods. He wasn't carrying the sacks anymore. He was managing the flow. Within 3 years, Arun was no longer the man with the bent back. He stood tall. His roof was fixed with sturdy tiles. His children were attending the school in the district. But more importantly, the entire village was thriving. Because Arun had used his mind, he had created wealth not just for himself, but for his neighbors. He had moved from the economy of the body to the economy of the mind. Part 2, the core philosophy, Mehnat, hard work, versus Dimag, mind. Friends, Arun's story is not just a tale from the past. It is a mirror for our present reality. It illustrates the fundamental duality of wealth creation that exists in our universe. In the East, we distinguish between these two forces, Mehnat and Dimag. Let us deepen our understanding of these two forces, for both are sacred, but they must be understood correctly. 1. The force of the body, hard work, Mehnat. This is the energy of doing. It requires your physical presence. It is measured in time, sweat, and calories. Hard work is the foundation of existence. Without it, nothing moves. The seed must be planted, the house must be built. However, the body is subject to the laws of physics. It is limited. If you are a taxi driver, you can only drive one car. If you are a massage therapist, you can only heal one person at a time. Your income is tied directly to your time. If you stop working, the money stops flowing. This path, when walked alone, leads to burnout. It leads to a life where you are constantly running just to stay in the same place. 2. The force of the mind, intellect, Dimag. This is the energy of seeing and structuring. It comes from planning, strategy, creativity, and wisdom. The mind does not trade time for money, it trades value for money. The mind asks questions like, how can I do this better? How can I serve more people? How can I solve a more difficult problem? The mind invents the wheel, so the legs don't have to walk. The mind creates the app so the driver can connect with 1,000 passengers. The mind writes the book so the story can be told to millions, even while the author sleeps. The need for synergy. Now, this is where we must be very careful. The lesson is not to become lazy. The lesson is not to sit on a couch and merely manifest wealth without lifting a finger. That is a delusion. The Buddha taught the middle way. Hard work without the mind leads to slavery of the self. You become a machine. But the mind without hard work remains a fantasy. An idea that is not acted upon is like a cloud that never rains. It offers no nourishment. Arun still had to build the racks. He still had to negotiate. He still had to oversee the process. But his hard work was applied to a strategy, the dried herbs, rather than just a routine. He applied his effort to a lever that multiplied his strength. Scalability, the key to freedom. In our modern world, we call this scalability. Think of it this way: hard work creates money when it is scalable. But scalability comes from the mind. If you are a teacher tutoring one student, that is hard work. You impact one life. If you are a teacher who records your lessons and puts them online for thousands of students to watch, that is the mind. You have detached your value from your time. You have created a system that serves others even when you are resting. Hard work provides the floor you stand on, the mind provides the wings to fly. Part 3, the lesson of responsibility, wealth as energy. This brings us to a profound spiritual realization. Why do we want wealth? Why do we want to escape the trap of endless toil? Is it just to buy expensive cars? Is it just to indulge in sensory pleasures? If that is the goal, the mind will eventually become clouded by greed. Greed is a heavy energy. It drags the mind down. The story of Arun teaches us that money is a responsibility. When Arun began to earn, he didn't just build a bigger wall around his house. He realized that money is a form of energy, a medium for justice. Because he was no longer exhausted every day, he had the energy to be kind. He had the time to listen to his children. He had the resources to help the village. He built irrigation channels that helped everyone. He became a guardian of his community. This is the concept of the Bodhisattva entrepreneur. The Bodhisattva seeks enlightenment not just for themselves, but to help all beings. In the realm of work, this means we seek financial freedom so that we can stop operating from a place of survival and fear, and start operating from a place of generosity and love. When you are in survival mode, it is very hard to help others. You are too tired. Your cup is empty. But when you use your mind to create abundance, your cup overflows. You can give. You can support causes you believe in. You can create art. You can heal. The goal of earning shouldn't just be the money itself, but creating the life you genuinely want to live, a life where you have the freedom to be human. Part 4, Buddhist Wisdom, Right Livelihood and the Void. In the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddha spoke of Samma Ajiva, or right livelihood. Often, we think this just means, don't sell weapons, or don't sell poisons. And that is true. But on a deeper level, right livelihood means engaging in work that does not violate your own soul. If your work is killing your spirit, if it is draining your life force so completely that you have no awareness left for the beauty of the world, is it truly right? Zen philosophy teaches us about the concept of emptiness or sunyata. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. In the context of our work, form is the visible labor, the emails, the meetings, the physical tasks. Emptiness is the space where ideas are born. It is the strategy. It is the silence. Most of us are obsessed with the form. We are busy, busy, busy. We wear our busyness like a badge of honor. Oh, I am so busy, we say, as if that makes us important. But wealth is created in the emptiness. It is created in the pause. Arun only found a solution when he stopped digging. He found the answer in the silence by the river. If your mind is always full of noise and tasks, there is no room for a brilliant idea to enter. You must create space. You must create emptiness. You must prioritize the mind over the motion. Part 5, Practical Application, How to Apply This Today. So, how do we take this story of an ancient farmer and apply it to our modern, digital lives? You may not be growing turmeric, but the laws of the universe remain the same. Here are 3 steps to help you shift from the economy of the body to the economy of the mind. 1. The sacred pause. Stop digging if you feel stuck. If you feel you are working harder than ever but not moving forward, the answer is not to pedal faster. The answer is to stop. I invite you to carve out a do nothing time in your week. Maybe it is 1 hour on a Sunday morning. No phone. No computer. No chores. Just you and your thoughts. In this silence, ask yourself the difficult questions. Am I digging a hole, or am I building a ladder? Is my work scalable? Am I trading my life for pennies, or am I creating value? Be brave enough to stop the machine to check the engine. 2. The pivot. Apply strategy. Look for the herbs in your life. What knowledge do you have that others need? What problem can you solve that is valuable? Maybe you are a cleaner who is tired of cleaning houses. Can you use your mind to start a cleaning agency, where you train others and manage the quality? Maybe you are a writer tired of writing articles for pennies. Can you create a course to teach others how to write? Use your Dimag to find the leverage point. Shift from being the tool to being the hand that guides the tool. 3. The purpose. Right intention. Connect your desire for wealth to a higher frequency. Do not approach money with desperation. Approach it with a desire to serve. When you say, I want to make money to help my family, or I want to build a business that makes people's lives easier, you align yourself with the creative forces of the universe. When your intention is noble, your mind opens to solutions that a greedy mind cannot see. Remember, the mind works best when it is calm and when it is driven by love, not fear. As we bring this journey to a close, let us return to our breath. Let us return to the present moment. The journey from hard labor to smart strategy is not an overnight sprint. It is a gentle unfolding. It requires patience. It requires the courage to do things differently from the crowd. But know this, you were not born to merely pay bills and die. You were born to create. You were born to experience joy. You were born to know the vastness of your own mind. Let us seal this wisdom with some affirmations. You can repeat these silently in your heart, letting the vibration of the words heal your relationship with work and money. I honor the strength of my body, but I trust the wisdom of my mind. I release the belief that I must suffer to be worthy of abundance. My mind is a fertile field, capable of growing infinite solutions. I create value for others, and wealth flows to me as a natural result. I choose clarity over chaos. I choose strategy over struggle. My prosperity is a tool for good. I am a guardian of abundance. Final blessing. Thank you, beautiful souls, for walking this path with me today. Thank you for listening to the story of Arun and seeing the reflection of your own potential within it. Remember, the most powerful tool you possess is not your hands, and it is not your bank account. It is the silent, luminous space between your ears. Cultivate it, trust it, and let it lead you to freedom. If this story resonated with you, if you felt a shift in your perspective, I invite you to join our community. Subscribe to Buddha Coha and turn on the notification bell. By doing so, you help us spread these messages of healing and wisdom to others who are still trapped on the treadmill of exhaustion. And please, leave a comment below. Tell me, I choose mind over struggle. I read your comments, and they bring me great joy. Until we meet again, may your work be light, may your mind be clear, and may your heart be at peace. Namaste.